Thanks for joining us on Whiteman TV. We've got our foundation president, Earl Campbell, and our gala leadership chair, Mary Lou Brown, with us today. We're just reflecting on the 20th gala that we're about to present and sharing a bit of history and a bit of fun surrounding those memories. So I'd like to open this up to Earl and Mary Lou to have a little bit of conversation around what our galas have come from and what they've become. And Mary Lou was chosen as the 20th Gala Leadership Chair, largely because she's been with this gala for all 20 iterations. She was part of the staff component who put together the first gala in 2001, and they thought they were doing a fun little activity for Nurses Week and really just wanted to make a little bit of money for the hospital. So I'd really like her to share some of what happened back then.
Thanks, Dale. We a group of nurses, it was a staff meeting actually, I think, that got this started. We'd had a staff meeting, it was in the spring, and we get chatting afterwards, and there'd been a hockey game previous to this staff meeting, and the firefighters in town had a fundraiser of sorts, and we're not even sure who they played against, but they made some money, and they donated that money to the hospital. So someone said, if the firefighters can do something and make money, we certainly should be able to. So we thought Nurses Week was coming up, let's do something for Nurses Week. At that time, funding was iffy coming to the small hospitals, and we felt particularly vulnerable because we were located between Mount Forest and Listowel. And we thought if any hospital was going to not only not be funded, but be closed, we were in a bad location for that. So we thought we'd have an event, hopefully make a few dollars for the hospital and make it the social event of the year. So that's how it started. I think there were about 14 of us on that original committee. And it was an experience. We decided it wasn't going to be a t-shirt and jean event. It was going to be dress up. And we had no budget. So the linens, the table linens, came from the hospital because at that time the hospital had a little rental service where they would rent out linens for occasions. So we got our table linens from there. It was actually in the Palmerston Community Center, not the arena and the curling club, which is what's happened recently, but it was in just the community center. We had a live auction and a silent auction and a balloon draw and a toonie draw. So, and we were out soliciting all the communities. Two gals did Drayton and Moorfield, a couple of us did Palmerston, and a couple did the Hairston area. And we were overwhelmed with, once we presented our idea, we were overwhelmed with the community support we got from businesses and individuals. We had, like I said, we had no budget. So the decor was pretty much what we could scramble around and find. I don't think any of us had any trees, shrubs, plants, flowers, mini lights still in our house, and we certainly used everything, our friends and relatives, that we could scramble to put together what we thought was like an English country garden. And we named it the Starlight Gala. So that was sort of where it started. Our first program was printed in the front office and run off on the photocopier and stapled together by a group of us just standing around stapling. And we sold 250 tickets, and even that first year we probably could have sold more. And to our surprise, the evening raised $37,000 for our hospital.
something amazing. It really, really is amazing when I hear that story. I've heard it several times, and it still moves me that this just really came about as a result of a conversation. Now, Earl, you were at the first gala, you just told us.
I was at the first gala, so I haven't missed one yet. First one, I got there because I was involved with the fire department. And one of your co-chairs, Nancy McIsaac, her husband, was on the same fire department as me, so I ended up there ad hoc as a guest. And my fondest memory of that night was John Green was the chair of the foundation at the time. And so he was emceeing the event, which only John can do with his, he's fairly close to Neil Aitchison in the way he delivers things. Yeah. But he got up and announced that it was the first annual gala. Well, Nancy McIsaac was sitting across from me, and the look on her face, you could have picked her up on the floor, because I mean, here's this volunteer group of ladies thinking they're doing a one-of and doing a wonderful thing. No vision at all of this being an annual event. And you know, here we are 20 years later, the group has raised 3.16 million and going strong. And it's just become an annual event that they try to outdo each other, I should say, every year. In terms of the decoration, the decor, and the projects. So. Yeah,
and it all impacts our hospital so amazingly. When you think $3 million over the course of, from 2001 until last year, when the last 3 years we actually haven't been able to have a gala, but we still solicit our generous sponsors and our donors, and we've been able to do other projects and other fundraisers that, during COVID, it just wasn't possible for us to pull off a gala of our size. There have been other foundations who have brought their galas back a little bit earlier than ours, but we decided last year that if we couldn't do it right, we weren't going to do it. And so thankfully, our generous sponsors have continued to support us through COVID. And yeah, we hit that $3 million mark last year. So this year, it's going to be really exciting to announce that to all of those really generous people who will be sitting at the tables. And then we've grown. And from that $37,000, we've grown to raising a profit of more than $200,000 routinely. This year, we're actually sitting in a position where our sponsors have already contributed $230,000 to our event. And that makes it very possible for us to look at this as a wonderful gratitude celebration when we hit the floor on May the 27th. So there will be lots of work, and Mary Lou maybe wants to talk a little bit about what our volunteers mean to our gala and how that's even grown over the years from that group of 14 who kind of did it all.
Yeah, we did, and that's why Nancy had the look on her face of the first annual. We thought, we can't do this again. But we all had some connection. My husband was on the foundation at the time, and we just approached he and John Green and said, would the foundation like to do this? And they absolutely did, and the foundation has taken it on ever since. And it couldn't be done. Like a lot of other charity events, the community rises to the occasion. And if it's for their hospital, just ask, and they're there. The 14 has now become over 100, and you see the same faces year after year, and it's a fun time during that week. It's a fun time getting ready for the event. People know what their jobs are. They show up, they help set up the table, they organize the silent auction. The nurses still do, it used to be the balloon draw, now it's just the nurses draw, and Nancy, who we keep talking about. Nancy and I think, are the only originals still hanging in there year after year after year, and Nancy organizes the nurses' draw. The original committee wasn't just nurses, though. It was people from all the hospital avenues. We had housekeeping, we had people from the clerical side, we had lab technicians, we had x-ray technicians, and nurses. So like the PDH is, it's a family. And those volunteers come every year because the community is a family. They care about the hospital. So all you have to say is it's for the hospital, and all these people show up. It's what makes the gala.
It is. And how does this impact the foundation, Earl? When we look at it from a foundation perspective, we had that first gala, and then the next year it kind of dropped in the foundation's lap. But what are we able to accomplish with all of that money?
Well, from a foundation perspective, so there's only, I believe it's 4 members of the actual foundation that sit on the gala committee. So it really is a ground roots, local initiative of volunteers. So you can say it's the foundations, but the gala committee really marches to its own drum, for lack of a better choice of words.
With a lot of autonomy.
With a lot of autonomy. So I mean, the foundation kind of sits back and says, you're giving us, a couple $100,000 a year in revenue, and we're very happy to let you go do your thing. I always tease Dale that they'd never have the decorating budget if I was in charge or sat on the committee, because again, they try to outdo each other every year. And I just bite my tongue when I read the financials and say, well, it looked nice. But I mean, it's we have covered, everything under the sun: dialysis equipment, cardiac equipment, chemical analyzers, ultrasound machines. I mean, it goes right down to occasionally we have, not every gala, but we'll have boards up there where you can buy a pack of thermometers or stethoscopes or whatever. So it's really meant a lot to the hospital in terms of expanding services and also in upgrading the existing services so that if you need a device, it's there. It's functional. It's not, we got this thing duct taped together and we'll try to get through 2 more patients. So if, and we get those kind of asks, we get a capital request on an annual basis, and then we'll usually get 1 or 2 emergency requests where something has failed and it's like, we need to order this thing now. And that's where the foundation comes in. So I mean, it's our largest fundraiser, has been for years, and it's something that the foundation is quite proud of and quite supportive of.
That first gala, I was not at. I was at the second gala, but the first gala, I just wish I could have been a fly on the wall and watched the people who didn't realize that they were changing the Palmerston and District Hospital at that time, because that's really what's happened. Our gala is known in the area as the granddaddy of the galas. We have a lot of foundations who have looked to us for ideas and insights into how we have been so successful, and I keep telling them, you need a team, and you need a team that cares about their hospital, one that works together well, and people who see a job that needs done and just do it. And Mary Lou kind of alluded to that when she talked about all of the near 100 people who gather the week of gala. And I often say to people, that's the most fun you're going to have being exhausted in your entire life, because it is. We have a lot of fun, and we've got a food chair, we've got a decorating chair, we've got a ticket chair, we've got all of these people who are coming together and making sure that all of those jobs get done. And it would not be successful without that. It's not something that a foundation staff can do alone. We can oversee, we can gain support from the foundation directors, but these are all volunteers. And so there is a capacity. And if you don't have volunteers from the community, you'll never be successful. So it was a great building block, and we've stepped up every single year to continue to build on that building block. But really, really grateful for the work that was done way back in 2001. So our physicians have been really important in serving as ambassadors for our gala. We love our physicians here at the PDH. Our Minto Mapleton physician group is second to none. Our family physicians are wonderful. Our ER docs are great. And we've got specialist clinics that run here all the time. From the physician perspective, we've got Dr. Phil Deacon this year as our honorary gala chair. We call them our doc ambassador. And he's going to share a little bit about what makes this special for the physicians and how they feel supported by our gala.
Thanks, Dale. Dr. Philip Deacon, I'm a family doctor out of Drayton, and I work here at the Palmerston District Hospital in Emerge and in the inpatient unit. And it's a real pleasure to work alongside all of the wonderful volunteers who helped to organize the gala. It's such an amazing event. I honestly don't think there's anything like it anywhere else that I'm aware of. The amount of work and effort and dedication that goes into making the gala successful, and coming back in person this year is just amazing. So thank you very much to the volunteers, and looking forward to another great gala this year.
And we really want to reflect on what this gala means to the hospital. So we've invited our CEO, Angela Stanley, to share some of her thoughts about how the gala really impacts life in the hospital and what type of equipment and needs are addressed through this gala.
The foundation raises money for vital equipment and programs that the ministry doesn't fund 100%. So often the community doesn't recognize that that level of funding is not available on a regular basis from our ministry partners. So the foundation provides us with regular funding streams for equipment to look after patients. It funds bricks and mortar, it funds staff, it funds the costs, operational costs related to programs, and very little of that funding goes directly into equipment costs to support those program areas. It's everything. It's beds, it's wheelchairs, vital sign monitors, it's housekeeping equipment, floor washers, anything that really supports the maintenance of the building and patient care delivery within the organization. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the foundation, all of the volunteers who really support the care that we provide to our community on a day-to-day basis. We couldn't really do it without them.
So we've talked a little bit about sponsorship and how important that has become. It allows us to have a nest egg, if you will, to put the event together, and then we put a healthy chunk of change into our coffers for the equipment that we're raising money for. In this case, this year it will be the chemistry analyzer for our lab services. But it really is about more than the sponsors. We have a lot of people from the communities who embrace this event. Both of you could certainly highlight what you feel happens there in the community.
We couldn't do it without all of the community. We have donations from all the businesses who don't sponsor, but certainly provide wonderful donated prizes for the live auction, like patio sets and barbecues and trips and jewelry. And we also have businesses who donate lesser amounts, but equally valuable to the people who come to our gala. The silent auction is a huge part of the money we make, and the idea was originally to have something for everyone who attended. So that's why we had the toonie draws, because some people would maybe donate a $5 or a $10 gift certificate. And even for $2, they had a chance to win something of value. And the idea was not to exclude anyone who wanted to be at the gala and donate something in way of a small amount or a large amount to the hospital. I've just been out recently, the past couple of weeks, doing a bit of solicitation. And anytime you go in and ask for something for the hospital, it's, oh yeah, that's a really good cause. So without the community involvement, and our community loves our hospital, all 3 towns in the catchment area, they'll do anything for the hospital, and it shows with the donations we get.
Yeah, and I would add on the donation side of it, so I mean, we have some corporate sponsors, we have some individual sponsors that have fairly deep pockets and are extremely generous. Mm-hmm. We also go down to the grandmothers who knit. Mm-hmm. Used fruit dishes, all that kind of thing. I mean, it's just the spirit of the community is, you know, we'd like to give something. And of course, we all have different levels of tolerances.
Absolutely.
And as Mary Lou said, at this gala, there is something for everybody. There's different price points. The silent auction is hilarious to watch because you get some fairly fractious rivalry going on at times.
Spirited bidding.
Spirited bidding.
And we have seen numerous items go well north of what the actual retail value is. And we've seen things go that high and be donated right back, and the second bidder comes back in and buys it again. So it's really, it's a fun auction.
It is.
It engages the people. Sometimes it's a little hard to hear with the size of the floor. But it's just a great event for that. But again, it drives back to the individuals in the community, big and small donors, and the fact that they come back every year. Mm-hmm. One of the dynamics of this is we move it every year. So we basically service 3 geographical areas, And we moved the gala from Harrison to Palmerston to Drayton to Harrison and we do that little circuit. And some people are, well, I'm from Harrison, that's when I'll show up. But by and large, our supporters follow the circus, for lack of a better choice of words. And it's, where is it next year? Oh, it's in Drayton again, right?
When can I get tickets?
When can I get tickets? And you know, and to that end, we have, for the past 5 or 6 years at least that I know of, and Dale may correct me, we've had to turn people away. It's been a sold-out event. Tickets go to the corporate sponsors first. They have the first dibs on them, and then I believe it's the 1st of April that the decision's then made as to how many of the sponsors are going to take, and then that opens it up to the general public. And we've always had a waiting list, and unfortunately, we've always had people left on the waiting list that just couldn't get in. So we now have people calling in, you know, September to say, when does that list open? I need to get my name on the list.
January 1st. The answer is January 1st.
So it's a very popular event. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, right? Yeah. And I would almost, the work parties, I would almost compare it to the old-fashioned Mennonite barn raising. Like, there is just a crowd of people there that know what they're doing, don't seem to need a lot of direction, and when one project ends, they don't go home, they just wander over to the next work area. So you may have been there setting up silent auction, but if there's nothing to put together anymore, if that was your task, you're then setting tables or building an Eiffel Tower. We had one of those once.
Yeah, we did.
It's so true.
It's true. And another thing, if I can, Dale.
Absolutely.
It occurred to me when I was thinking about this that we're now in 3rd generation volunteers. Grandmothers have got their kids involved, and now the grandkids are showing up to help set up or help decorate or attend. So that's really, it kind of gives me goosebumps.
See,
Yeah.
it's really neat to see. Earl highlighted something, and it made me think of something else. The live auction is so much fun. Adam, you've been there, and you know it's a lot of fun to watch. Whether you've got the pockets deep enough to participate or not, it becomes such a fun environment. But we really couldn't have that be as successful as it is without the Gray family. So we've got Gray's Auction Service, who has done our gala auctions for, I'm not sure if they were right from the beginning, Mary Lou, but it was Doug Gilmore was the first. But boy, I just can't imagine our gala without Barry and Kim and Kevin and Kathy and all of the crew and Marion helping us with that level of fundraising, because, you know, Barry Gray is the one who taught me you can't leave money on the table. So if there's an item, he's going to get full value and more for it, and won't stop until he does. And we think that that's fantastic because he makes it fun, his family makes it fun, and that type of expertise we can't mimic as a foundation. We need that expertise. So we've got MCs who have come year after year, and that helps the evening to flow. Those are all things that just make our life a little easier as a foundation, and it helps us to raise the maximum amount of money. And when we talk about the tickets, yes, there's always challenges with getting everyone in who'd like to be there. But this, and it was Paul Brown who told me this years ago, and he said, Dale, this is a sponsored event, and your money is going to come from your sponsors. When you have leftover tickets, those are fantastic to bring in community members and volunteers. But at the end of the day, you want to sell as many sponsorships as possible. So I took that to heart. And we've been very clear in our process. Our wait list starts on January 1st. And on April 1st, we start to release non-sponsor tickets. So this year, we might disappoint a few people, but we're very open and transparent with our process, and it's exactly how we've run it for many years. So it's an exciting problem to have, that you have so many people who want to come to your event that you might not be able to have them all involved. But we seat 650 people, and some of my favorite tickets are the ones I've sold twice. So if we've got a sponsor who can't bring their full complement of tickets, They send them back to me, and I get to sell them to a sponsor from the general public. So those are all great things. We might have 650 seated for our gala this year, but I've likely sold about 675 tickets through the various processes. So that's all, it all adds money to the pot, and it's all really important that we do. And the food is absolutely fantastic. Anybody want to talk about what our food will be like this year?
Well,
We don't know what I can't remember the menu, but
no,
it doesn't matter.
First year, our local caterer, Helen McFadgen, catered the meal. And since then, I believe Helen has done the hors d'oeuvres for every gala. And she works at the hospital, so there's the connection. And then since then, we've had many different sources. We've had church organizations. We have had local caterers. The last few years, we've had the same caterer, and this year we're having a new caterer who we're looking forward to. His reputation precedes him, so I know it'll be a wonderful meal.
It's nice that we've got the non-gala years. We did a takeout meal, and so Winston House Catering from Listowel is our new caterer, but they've done our takeout meals, so we know it's going to be delicious. That's another thing that brings people back. You've got good food, you've got a good environment, lots of fun, and lots of fundraising, and that brings people back year after year. So it will be a wonderful meal. I don't have any doubt in my mind. When you look at the growth, that's another interesting part of our gala. Not every caterer is equipped to feed 650 people. So we're very fortunate that we have someone as skilled and with a wonderful reputation as a chef to serve our large group, because that's a difficult thing in this area, in a rural area. We're very fortunate. And the other thing is we actually have to use a rental company from Toronto. And we are one of their biggest events. So Chairman Mills is an organization that we contract with to, rent tables and glassware and dishes, because it is such a large event. And when you contract with an organization in Toronto and you realize that you're one of their biggest events from Palmerston, Ontario, it's a pretty neat feeling. It gives me a little bit of goosebumps. So it's we're well known down there. They like to see pictures of our gala after, and they're an excited partner alongside us this year again.
And we have entertainment.
Oh, we do. We do. Ron Ellis does a great job, has for many years, looking after our entertainment needs. What are some of your favorites? Can you remember?
Can you, Earl?
No, I can't.
We had an ABBA.
I was thinking of the ABBA Mania tribute. That was fantastic.
Was pretty exciting. Yeah, we've had a good variety with Ron's connection to Drayton Entertainment.
Yes,
it's a nice little bonus we have with his. And I must say that the gala decor, we've been after the wow factor, and we have a group of young women who have taken the bull by the horns, and they're responsible. They do a wonderful job. Their vision is beyond imagination. So because of these leads that we have,
it's amazing.
The gala just flows.
Yeah.
We're so fortunate.
We've just got so many people who bring their different skills and gifts to the table, and they expend energy from January right through to June on this event. And we couldn't do it without that level of commitment. It is really something to behold. As we leave the venue on the Friday evening before the Saturday of gala, I always take a walk around. And it just never ceases to amaze me that we transform hockey arenas and curling clubs into what is really a phenomenally gala experience. It's not just a little bit of decor. It's this decorating team, I will say you're right, and I'm glad you highlighted that, Mary Lou, because they take a vision and a theme, and they usually are the ones who choose the theme. The chairs are part of the process. Certainly the foundation is willing to give ideas, but honestly, you need that decorating team to embrace the theme. And once that theme has been decided, we don't even, as staff and as the foundation, we don't even always know just what they're putting together, which really makes for a wow kind of moment for all of us too. So it's definitely something that if you haven't been there, it's a really, and it's one of those events that you almost should experience at least once, which means you have to get on the ticket list really early.
And an interesting thing is it takes months of planning, a week to set up, and the day after to take down.
Yes.
By Sunday evening, you wouldn't have known there was anything happening in that arena.
No, absolutely not. Even our drapery company that we've worked with for several years, they're always amazed by the pictures I share with them after. But the interesting thing is that draping of the facility is really what creates the canvas for all of the artwork that will happen through that decorating team. So it's all of those little pieces of the puzzle that make it really special. And we've grown each year in knowledge, and we've always, every single year, had a debrief after the event where we've learned something new about our event. So I don't expect that to be any different after the 20th iteration. We are likely to learn more and how we can fine-tune and tweak this event so that it really remains that flagship fundraiser for the foundation. Someone once asked me, events don't last forever. What will you guys ever do without the gala? And I said, I don't want to know. It's one of my favorite parts of my job, and because we keep it fresh every year, I don't think we're ever going to need to know that. So we are always looking for other fundraising ideas. We've always got reasons to fundraise. Our foundation will have an interesting next 3 to 5 years as we're raising money for an MRI that will be coming to Palmerston, and we're so excited about that. But our gala will be the flagship fundraiser for the next years to come, for sure. And we really look forward to it.